Me and Jake running down the street with a handful of comic books, kicking ass and every time. Banging chicks and drinking booze and smoking weed.
I'm married.
Yeah,
I'm married.
Jake,
can't do that.
Yeah, I love the guitar. Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler. I think my favorite thing about that whole bit is that it's seriously like a little kid. Like what he thinks is cool. Like banging chicks and drinking booze and smoking weed.
Yeah.
Reading comic books all day.
Yeah, especially the doing chicks.
I had to, yeah.
Speaking of childhood, feeling like I was a kid, last night I was catching up on the books you gave me from your long box. And I hate how cool this board is. No, I don't. I love it.
Fucking awesome, dude.
And I finished Planet Size X-Men, and then which is fucking fantastic,
insane.
I can't tell you how much I love that.
Pepe Larraz is a fantastic artist.
Yes,
I love
the art is amazing. In that
everything he does. He's like Ed McGuinness for me. Modern time artist right now. Mm-hmm. He's a guy like if he's doing a book, I will read it. Steve McNiven is a good one too.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I like actually. I got to make a correction. Last week, and we're doing volume 2 this week. Spoilers ahead for that. So. We read Earth 1 Volume 1 last week. We read Earth 1 Volume 1 Volume 2 this week. Yeah. Gabriel Hardman is a co-writer with his wife Karina Becco, but he is actually the artist as well. Jordan Boyd is the colorist. Yes. Which both these books are fucking beautiful books.
Yeah, pretty much.
And we'll talk more about that later. But anyway,
from the angle that you're at, it looked like you were feeding those books to Cooper. Here you go, eat them up.
Eat my comic.
We've already read these sons of bitches.
Poop them out.
Who would say things like that?
I would say it's recyclable because he's pooping it out. And I don't know.
Compost.
I don't know where this conversation went, but it felt like it's summers of old when I was a wee young lad reading me comic books
in the Glen, right outside Nebraska City.
I couldn't help it. Right as I said, right as my brain came up with the sentence "years of old," I was like, "This sounds like a fucking old period." In years of old, I used to read Planet Size X-Men. It was about them colonizing Mars.
Yeah, they literally terraform Mars.
Yes, they terraform Mars in that book. It's a really and this is what I love about.
Starts off with Magneto.
It's just a one shot,
bringing like all these asteroids from the Kuiper Belt and just fucking shoving them into the Earth.
It's cool.
And then a bunch of other mutants like make it become molten steel and then stir it. It's fucking insane, dude.
He said what took humans millions of years took mutants like a few days. Yeah. It's insane. And there's a whole lot more to it. You should read that book.
Right, yeah.
And this isn't a review of that necessarily. Nope. It was just saying I finished reading that.
Yeah.
I started reading United States of Captain America, and I got to the part where, because it starts with his really awesome speech about the American dream. Mm-hmm. And the problem is I'd already heard that speech because a bunch of right-wing lunatics were like, well, he hates America, even though they kind of missed the whole point of the speech was like, we need to include everybody.
Yikes! Do they don't even know how to read, Jake?
It clearly says,
seriously.
It says in the speech, America is better with all of us.
Durr.
Jesus. Anyway, and that whole, and it still got swept on that. I
used to be, I'm going to take my ball and go home kind of guy too.
I had already read that, so I kind of just, it sucks. I'm going to go back and actually read the full thing because I kind of skimmed it because I already knew about it. And then I actually started to get tired and fell asleep because I'll admit it, I'm a night owl. And I actually had to work at a normal time for normal human beings.
I'm a night owl.
And it made me fall asleep early. So I fell asleep on my couch with a comic book. And I felt like a 12-year-old again.
I'm a night owl.
Actually, you know what? No, Tyler.
Staying awake all night.
Stop singing.
Sorry, what's up?
This is serious.
What?
We got to end the fucking stigma.
Are you? Yeah, what the fuck?
All ages read comic books.
You know what? I was hanging out with my buddy who was a senior elderly gentleman named Ed, and he really loves comic books. And I was like, "Hey, Ed, do you want to go to the comic book store?" And we went in.
You were an old man.
We went into a comic book store, not one I go into a lot. It was a different one because it was close to the place where Ed lives. And we walked in, and all these people were like, "Hey, man, we can see through that Spider-Man T-shirt and into your pacemaker, bro."
That didn't happen.
Totally happened.
That did not happen. Did it really happen?
No.
I was just saying, you're making shit up. You had me going until the pacemaker line. And secondly, when have you ever walked to any store of any kind, and other than maybe like Walmart that has a greeter, when has anybody ever acknowledged you? So that's why I don't believe this fucking
Yeah.
Let alone be like, "Hey, old guy."
Well, one thing
you
is
fucking pacemaker.
One thing is that the reason why I said not the store, because I go to Mayhem Comics all the time in Clive, I think. But they actually do say hi every time I walk in.
Oh, really?
Yep. Well, I think
No, I'm not talking about workers. I'm talking about just people. Like,
I think it's loss prevention more than anything.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I see you with the motherfucking backpack. All right.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about workers. I'm talking just people that are at the store shopping. Mm-hmm. When do they ever acknowledge you unless like they're walking by like, "Oh, excuse me"? Because generally when people shop, they're like, I'm not here to talk to you, man. I'm here to buy shit. Because that's at least how I...
Well, they tell you in retail, like, approach people, make sure they know you're... Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying don't fucking have conversations with people. I'm just saying generally when I'm shopping, I'm just like...
How the fuck did we get onto this? Let's move on.
No, what I'm saying is... I don't want people to think I'm a jerk and won't have conversations. I'm just saying that, like, I'm there for a mission. I'm there to get my fucking comics and get out. I want to read them.
Mm-hmm.
That's honestly, that's what I shop.
I know not to open the book. I will sometimes because Immortal Hulk, I bought like multiple issues of the same one sometimes.
I just accepted that rule. I accepted that rule a long time ago. I look at the cover. I maybe look at one page. Like I might generally open it up and look for a second and then put it back because I'm not gonna be that guy.
Well, I got
it's
my
not
titles.
A library, dude.
I got my titles every month, and again, I bought an extra issue of Jedi High Republic or Star Wars: The High Republic, Tales of the Jedi, which sucked because it's an okay book, but not that great.
Which you also understand, I'm coming from a different era of comic book reading than you. Yeah. Whereas I'm used to the online reviews and like looking up like a couple because I'm the kind of guy.
The pages were newsprint.
Well, I'm the kind of guy that, like, before I buy any product, I have to, like, go online, look at other people's reviews, look at YouTube videos, like, a couple, like, you know, in channels that, like, do it for a living of, like, tech reviews or, you know, whatever. Right. So I do that a lot. So usually when I go into a comic book store, I know what books I want to get. Yeah. Because I have the curiosity or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then I also have Comixology Unlimited, which
nice
is our look at that segue.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes. As
I didn't have Comixology Unlimited when I was a kid. Jake, what is it?
We're trying real hard to get that Jeff Bezos money. Yeah. So Jake Unlimited was Unlimited Jake last week. This week I think it's better. Tyler's right. Jake Unlimited's a better title. Because it's Comixology Unlimited is what we're talking about.
What the fuck?
Whoa! It's $6. It's $5.99 a month, and it's a subscription service where it's essentially having like a Comixology library card, pretty much a digital library card.
Pretty fucking sweet.
They get a lot of books, and it's like a Netflix model. It's like Xbox Game Pass, where it has rotating time. Like they have their own, and we'll get into this because this is a big topic. But they have their own originals, but they mostly have a lot of like when I was talking about Avengers versus X-Men. I've been reading American Vampire because now that's on Comixology Unlimited, which I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that becomes a Comixology Unlimited so I could read the other books because, well, no, fuck, DC owns American Vampire. Never mind. Anyway,
way to fucking go. Way to paint us into a corner there.
I just remembered that I want to read this series, and I remember there's a new book that came out on DC Black Label called American Vampire.
Ladies and gentlemen, we actually went through like an extra 10 minutes that you'll never hear because it was just weird. We went off into this weird topic, and Jake's doing it again.
What? Just kidding. I'm trying to have a fucking conversation, man. I thought the whole point of this show was it was more relaxed, and now I'm yelling. All right,
yeah, what the fuck?
So the main reason,
what is it?
I want to say this real quick. You fucking sidetracked me with that. I don't need to explain Comixology Unlimited.
Well, no, but I thought we were trying for that money.
Anyway, I've actually been a subscriber for a long time. It is one of those things where I forgot to end the free trial, but then I was like, actually, I do read a lot of comic books digitally. I was
what that was like for me?
Keep it. So yeah, pretty much.
I was like, let's see what's on Hulu, and then I completely forgot that I was paying
Max,
for it.
That happened to me with fucking PlayStation Now. I'm so pissed. Because I literally got it to play one game that I can't play. You gotta get
one of the bank accounts that tells you, like, hey, you're still on the hook for this. Do you still want to fucking do this?
Thank God I'm trying to buy a house so then I can cut out expenses. But I won't cut out Comixology Unlimited because I actually use that service quite a bit. And some big news came to Comixology Unlimited, and that's what we're going to be talking about. But this also ties into this topic as well. I just finished Volume 1 of American Vampire, and that's written by Scott Snyder.
Ew.
And I enjoy that book a lot. That's why I was talking about it and saying, damn it, DC owns it because he wrote it for Vertigo.
Some of the best freaking Batman stories, modern Batman stories ever written.
I think you should give American Vampire a shot. I know it's not a superhero book, it's a vampire book, but it's really good. It's really good.
The thing is, I know that I'm a Marvel whore, but like when he acknowledges it, it just still feels dirty.
It's a Vertigo book.
No, I know, but...
And it was a Vertigo. Now it's black.
Not
now
you.
It's Black
Dude,
Label.
It's not you. It's me.
I know it's you.
Yeah.
Because it's a good book, so fuck you. Anyway, I read that. I love it. I just started Volume 2. I don't know. I think all of the volumes are on Comixology Unlimited, but do not quote me on that. But I know for a fact Volumes 1 and 2 are there.
I wrote it down. I'm going to quote you on
it. So the reason I bring up American Vampire, why I've been reading it and I'm excited, is because Scott Snyder, the co-creator of that book, has signed an 8-book deal with Comixology and Dark Horse Books. This deal covers 7 upcoming comic book series and 1 illustrated prose book Snyder has written with his recently launched production company, Best Jacket Press. So this is big in a term of, I don't think... The last time I saw something this big of a deal was when Bendis went to DC.
Yeah.
And... that was a big deal, but this is, I think, different because this is more that he's creating new IP. Like, he's making 8 new books for Amazon. Like, that's fucking crazy. And you don't usually see deals like that with artists, with writers, especially, and maybe even more because he has different artists he's working with.
I can only imagine like Scott Snyder just sitting in a room like by himself, just kind of in the fetal position, just like and just like
many books,
so many fucking storylines I can't keep.
Well, but
he's probably brilliant about it. But
here's the smart thing.
That's how I would react.
Here's the smart thing. He's co-writing them, so I think every book he had, and we're gonna go through the books here real quick, but. Every book that he's...
I'll bet you it's going to be a lot like the Dick Wolf universe where it's like, like the Law and Order in Chicago.
It's like bees. Anyway.
That was weird.
We need to stop playing with the soundboard.
We're going to play... Okay, so...
Why do you...
I don't know, man.
Anyway, yeah, Tyler, go on.
Yeah, it's probably a lot like that where he's kind of like setting things up and eventually he's probably going to leave the writing to the co-writer.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting.
And then have a created byline on each book.
Because he did something similar.
There's no way you can keep up 8. I mean, I'm sure you're a great writer, a fucking fantastic writer. How you introduced a new villain to Batman after almost 80 fucking years.
All right, let's stop.
And made it good. What? Court of Owls? That's badass.
Yeah, but don't get me started on the dark metal shit that he did.
I didn't.
Dark Knight's metal?
I didn't, but Last Night on Earth was a great Elseworlds.
Yeah, and I thought the Batman Who Laughs was pretty good. But that's the thing. Scott Snyder, and why I'm excited about this, is he knows how to write really good horror books. Mm-hmm. I've already sucked off American Vampire, but...
Wow.
No, it's because it's a vampire. Get it? I sucked the blood. It wasn't a dick thing. Another book that I love a lot.
I choose to ignore your explanation.
I want to reread it, but it's a great fucking book. It's called Witches, but it's WYTCHES.
Why?
It's a good book.
Why? I'm saying witches. Why are you gonna fuck with that?
Oh my god. It's a good book though.
Sure.
I'm sure it is, but I'm mad about the spelling.
You know what? I got my grape soda and I don't give a shit.
But yeah, so he and
that's a Dreadnoks reference from G.I. Joe.
I would argue the Dark Knight's Metal and the Dark Multiverse and the Man Who Laughs or the Batman Who Laughs, that is all very horror inspired.
I don't know why he was saying.
So yeah, I want to read a
ruining it.
Real quick quote from Comixology, and then we'll go through the books.
Yeah, I want to see the artist because he works
massive in scope and creative range. These comics embrace all things you love about Scott Snyder as a writer, while offering stories that are unexpected and new. This is from head of content over at Comixology, Chip Mosier. Teamed with the best artists in the business, these creator-owned comics range from horror and sci-fi to historical fiction, and there's truly something for everyone.
Fiction,
there's a lot of books. Okay,
all right.
So here's the first one. We are demons. We have demons. Is the first title.
What the fuck is the French thing? Okay, who's
because
the artist
Tyler, I wanted for whatever reason my brain said we are demons instead of we are demons or we have demons. See, I've already messed my brain up. We have demons. Okay, that is the name of the book.
Looks like Greg Capullo.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He's with Greg Capullo and Capullo.
And Jonathan Glapion is his frequent collaborator. So
yeah, it's described as Spawn meets Batman meets metal. So like every other thing you've done.
Right. So next,
the last year or so, the out of control horror series. Stop. People might be interested in this shit, man.
I was doing it. Yeah.
No, we're not skipping. He doesn't only have to play the hits.
No.
The out of
you just said that.
These people might like this. The out of control horror series follows a teenage kid who discovers a clandestine between God and evil involving secret societies and monsters. Now, see, I'm a little bit more interested in that. But I'll probably read it because it's on Comixology Unlimited. Barnstormer.
Okay, this is interesting to me.
Yes.
I thought that was something completely different.
Yeah, he's teaming up with Lula Lotte, who has worked with him on All-Star Batman. And this is described as a high-flying adventure romance set just after the First World War.
That actually sounds like something I would like.
Yeah, this is interesting. You don't usually see period pieces as comic books. This one is kind of really out there. The Book of Evil. Snyder is returning to prose in the Book of Evil for a story about a Stephen King-esque coming-of-age story following 4 adolescents living in a near future where most of humanity are born psychopaths. Snyder's Black Mirror and Witches partner Jock, that's just his name is Jock, which is awesome, is drawing or is illustrating for that book.
Alrighty.
The Book of Evil. Canary. This is a Western. Artistic powerhouse Dan. Do you know how to say that?
Dan Panosian. And he started off as a Liefeld clone back in the Image days. So I'm glad to see he got away from that, apparently, because otherwise he shouldn't be getting work.
Yeah.
I haven't seen his stuff in a while. But yes, he's been around for fucking ever.
Yeah. And he's for the late 19th century Western. In this horror series, a mine collapses onto itself and it's somehow tied into a dark substance found 660 feet, exactly 666 feet underground.
You know,
that's great.
This is when Snyder stops.
I like this. I would
read it, but why exactly 600?
But here's the difference. But I think the difference between you and I in this, you don't really like horror movies that much, do you?
No.
And I fucking love horror. I love
horror in real life.
So that's why I love these horror books. So that's why that excites me versus you. Because I like the supernatural aspect. And we don't have enough Westerns, I think, nowadays. Yeah. Clear is another book. Yeah, Snyder and his Justice League No Justice artistic partner, Francis Manipool?
Yeah.
Are back together with a sci-fi mystery set in a strange future where everyone has constant neurological internet connection. As you can imagine, there'd be problems. Ooh, that does sound interesting.
That does sound cool. It looks neat.
It's very cyberpunk-esque.
Yeah. I might have to read that.
Duck and Cover was another one. I think between Canary and this are ones that were like, what? They're really interesting me. Like, I love the plot. The synopsis anyway. The team behind American Vampire, which again, exciting because the art for American Vampire is fantastic, is creating a new creator-owned series again, once delving into history in America. This manga-influenced series is a throwback to post-apocalyptic story set in 1955 America.
Interesting.
According to his, and I read one of his...
Well, Duncan covers what they used to say if a nuclear
and I read his
bomb
tweet
ever
about
drops.
it, and the setup is these kids actually survived because they were under the desk.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Scott Snyder. What's next? I don't have enough money for this shit.
I know, right? I want to read up. Well, no, dude, just sign up for Comixology Unlimited. What are you doing?
It's only $5.99 a month.
Whoa! Dudley Datson and the Forever Machine.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds like one of those like Johnny Quest adventures, swashbucklers. Snyder's diving headlong into the young adult section with his new series with artists Jamal Igle and Juan Castro, and what could be a great companion to the Molly Danger series. Dudley Datson and the Forever Machine is about a boy, his dog, and a time machine. So it's a little fun story.
Is that a dog?
This is another one.
Can I see the cover again?
They're going through like a portal.
The way the art was, it looked like
he was taking a piss.
No, it looked like the lady's head was on the dog.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
and it's like,
I thought you were saying the lightning looked like his pee. Anyway, this looks like another case of a book that I'm really going to be interested in, and you might not be as much. Night of the Ghoul.
Wow.
Night of the Ghoul is Snyder and artist Francesco Francavilla. It's a Hollywood horror story about a lost...
Francavilla, probably, but yeah.
It's a horror story about a lost film whose reels are said to be haunted. So Night of the Ghoul. Interesting stuff. I think it's a cool shake-up to the industry. I really think it's... it could be a change. We're going to see how this goes, obviously, because this is how this stuff works, but... I'm worried about Snyder burning out, like we were talking about earlier. That I do think that is a severe thing because that's a lot of books. So I'm wondering if it's going to be because they've been kind of vague. I'm wondering if they're going to be ongoing series, but they're kind of and you'll talk about this later. If they're going to do kind of like what Saga does, where they have a run, they do a trade or two, and then they kind of take a little break, and then they go back at it, kind of thing.
Yeah,
and I think that's what Snyder's going to do with these stories. Otherwise, he's going to have... Because is he exclusively working with Comixology now? Like, I don't know. So
but we were talking about it off air, and what we think is kind of going to happen is kind of like a Dick Wolf type of thing where he starts these things and gets them rolling. Because it sounds like he's
we mentioned
co-writing.
It earlier, and I think that's what's going to happen.
And that's totally cool. And
he's co-writing everything he's doing.
Yeah, but I mean, like eventually maybe leave with a created by
and that's what I said was interesting.
Or maybe they're all limited.
That's what I was saying was interesting about this is...
which it sounds like they are.
It's the opposite. It would be the opposite approach of American Vampire, which he started that series with Stephen King, and then Stephen King, I think after the first trade, he stepped off because he's Stephen King. He bolted
like a motherfucker.
And then Snyder just took over the series after that.
Stephen King is great.
Yes. I'm telling you, read American Vampire. It's great. So that was a very long Jake Unlimited, but I really wanted to get that in and talk about what Snyder's doing, because I, for one, as someone who likes Snyder's writing, I'm excited, especially about the horror books. That's the one I'm really happening. And I think they're all coming out. They're all coming out periodically, but they're all coming out in October.
Yeah.
Because it's #Scotttober.
#Scotttober.
So look out for that if you're a Comixology Unlimited.
What's going on with me singing everything? I gotta stop. I'm really sorry, everybody. I'm serious. It's like a tick now. Shit.
So, Tyler.
Yeah.
It's time.
Not sing. Let's talk
about the main topic. Yeah, my glasses are fogging up. It's hot out there, folks. We are experiencing a very hot summer. Let's just say that. But let's talk about the main topic today. Earth 1, Volume 2 of Green Lantern. The saga of Harold Jordan. It is Hal, but the Guardian in this book refers to him.
Don't they all? I believe everybody refers to him as Harold Jordan, even the Earth people. Because I just read it last night.
Damn it. Sorry, I dropped some other books that were.
I believe in the first book he's referred to as Hal, but in the second one I don't think he's referred to as Hal by anyone. I really don't.
But us.
Yeah.
Only us.
I think that's part of design by the writer.
Trying to make him a little differentiate. Well, and I'll say this because we'll do what we did last week. We'll get into spoiler-free talks about the book before we really spoil the fuck out of it for you. So if we could sway a little bit to read it and then come back and listen.
Sweat, yeah, a little bit.
Sweat, yeah. So it's my spoiler-free thoughts were I absolutely loved it. Yeah. It had a lot to live up to because I really liked the first book. But I think it took what I really loved about the first book and really expanded on it in this one. And took some chances with the lore of Green Lantern and did what Earth 1 books are supposed to do, give a different interpretation. And I can honestly say, without spoiling anything, and I think I said it last week, I'll say it again this week, this is my favorite interpretation of a Hal Jordan.
The Green Lantern mythos, I am a big fan of it. At this point in regular DC continuity, it's gotten pretty convoluted. There's like 9 different colors of rings. Each, there's like the red rage ring and the orange theft ring.
Well, I mean,
klepto ring, basically.
To be fair, Blackest Night was a cool story arc.
But
what brought that
it's become so dense now.
There's Red Lanterns. Yeah, you're right.
If you're a casual fan, you're like, what in the fuck?
There's Orange Lanterns and Get Red.
I recently picked up I think issue 24 of the Grant Morrison, Liam Sharp Green Lantern, which started off
Green Lantern,
off as like a cop, like a
police procedural,
an intergalactic. I wanted to check it out. Yeah. I never got on board until. Again, the last issue of year 2 is what it's called.
I'm Grant Morrison. You should read about my Green Lanterns.
It was the most, there's no way. I understood none of it. It's so fucking dense with, if you don't know what's going on, it's like you don't care.
Well, and that's the thing that I love about these Earth 1 books.
Yeah, you get to get on the ground floor.
Yeah, and they're these are movies. You're reading a movie. There's self-contained stories. Yes, there's things in these books to continue them. That's because that's just comic books by nature. But honestly, the volume 2, the way it ends, you don't necessarily need to make a volume 3.
You don't.
It ends on a note that you want a volume 3, but you don't necessarily need it to complete the story.
When we get into spoilers, I'll tell why I think they could.
Yeah, that's my spoiler-free thoughts on volume 2. What are your thoughts?
I loved it. I not necessarily by design, but I ended up reading this last night after I got off work.
It's actually smart to do it right before the show.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I mean, the thing I love about both these books is that I devoured
really well.
them both immediately in one sitting. There was no hold on, I devoured them both in one sitting because they're so good and you can't help but turn the page. I know, it's a real page turner. Seriously, I know it's also a fucking cliche. I couldn't put it down, but I couldn't. I was dude, I'm almost okay. So this part of the story is almost done, but then this no, I got to see how this is. It's just so fucking good, and they take some liberties, and that really pays off.
Yeah, and that's what really makes Earth 1 work is their freedom to do that.
Right.
Well, and to what you were saying that it's.
Tell me when we get into the spoiler part because I want to talk about the end.
Yeah, but I love that the liberties that they take. Again, we'll get there. I promise you. I just want to give some people a little bit more time to listen before they, to read it to come back to the spoilers.
Right.
But just how you're right, and it's pacing. No matter what medium you're in, it's video games, it's movies, books, TV, whatever. Pacing is a thing, and pacing is important. And I think these books are paced incredibly well. I think they move quickly, but they give enough time in between to settle you down, give you some exposition, give you some character moments, and then throw you back into the action.
One of the best movies of the last decade, of the last 50 years, I think. One of the better movies was Infinity War. I think a lot of people probably saw that, and it's really good. And you take a shitload of threads and try and tie it into a central story. And that is essentially what both of these books do really, really well, is they know when to go, okay, we're going to go away from these people and over to these people. And honestly, they do it in such a way, you're so engrossed in each aspect of the story that when they jump to somebody else, you're like, oh yeah, these guys. Because you're so engrossed, and then you get engrossed in that, and then, oh yeah, those guys.
And I got to say,
fucking great.
Both books...
and it's not hyperbole, I love it.
In different ways, both books did an amazing job of giving you impending dread, impending doom for Hal Jordan. And so when he does succeed and where he, you think it's all hope is lost and he does get that extra bit of willpower, it's awesome. Like, you're excited about it. And that's why I think, and the way that, and look, this Hal Jordan isn't as quippy and fun.
He's more of a hero than Green Lantern in the regular DC continuity, honestly.
He is. He really is. He's so much more heroic in these books, and that's why I think I like his character more.
I'm not saying Hal Jordan wouldn't, but...
No, and I'm a big Green Lantern fan all around, so I like Hal Jordan, and I like Jon Stewart, and I like how they do...
the way they played with Jon Stewart was pretty cool, too.
I have mixed feelings about Guy Gardner. Is he the one that got punched by Batman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like Guy Gardner.
Well, I
haven't really read anything about Alan.
I've never really been a huge fan, but he did show up in Brave and the Bold.
I haven't really read Alan Scott, but
by the way, Brave and the Bold, one of the greatest cartoons.
Point is,
ever.
the Green Lanterns that I grew up with were Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, because Jon Stewart was in the cartoon.
Now there's like 19 for Earth.
So we both loved it. It's great. Now is your warning. We're gonna spoil the shit out of this book.
Yes,
we're talking about every fucking.
I can't wait. Actually,
so that's your warning, and from now on. We can talk about whatever the fuck we want. Cordians? This book's got Cordians in it?
Dude, I actually want to start with... I want to start with the end because, yes, you were talking about the sequel. Yeah. Like, there could be a sequel, but you don't need to.
Yeah, but I think we should go through the story and get to that end.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, yeah. But I do have some serious thoughts on whether or not there should be a sequel.
Yeah, so we open up the book... with Larians. It's 2 L.
It's about 3 years after the end of the first book.
Volume 2 takes place 3 years after Volume 1.
The Battle of Oa is what it's called.
And there's space travel has become more capable for humans because of Hal Jordan, because of his abilities as the Green Lantern and get the technologies that they need. Also, they mention this in the first book, but it becomes a bigger deal in this book. Hal was using that knowledge to create a dimensional bridge, which is something that they did reference in the first book, and I totally forgot about. And they do bring it up here in this one. And so space isn't as big of a final frontier as it was. Like we're at the point where we can start getting into mastering space travel. So Larians show up, and that's the first time an alien life form has come into Earth. And it's a diplomatic mission. It's to say, look, we're allies. Yeah. We're not here to fight.
The book opens with the Larians arriving at Earth.
And there's 2 satellites.
Something that's been planned for a couple of months, ever since, Harold Jordan is hailed by some as a hero and by others as a traitor, but he is well known on Earth for what he did, and he has helped usher in this era of trading, basically, and meeting with these other alien cultures,
Yeah.
But like you said, there's 2 satellites, and one of them is called Arrowhead.
And the other one is run by Ferris Aerospace.
Right,
or whatever,
that works
which is another cool twist, because we knew that from the first book, that Carol's family weren't planes, that they were spaceships.
I'm glad you mentioned her. But what ends up happening is there's a tragedy where it appears the guy on Arrowhead, which is a offensive, kind of defensive satellite for the Earth, with weapons and stuff, he gets the order to fire, and he's like, you know what?
Wait, this is a diplomatic mission. We shouldn't be doing this.
And that's fine. But then something happens, and the Larians are fired upon anyway. So all these 3 people are taken hostage.
I'm trying to get the names. I know one of them's Jon Stewart.
Jon Stewart, and then the other 2 are not necessarily important. I don't think that they're in continuity, but
we find out later that one of them's colorblind. I guess that's the big.
That is really cool, actually, the way she goes out, because she's like, it's actually not color coded. It's common sense.
Yeah, you don't need to see color to see that.
Which sucks that it. We'll get to that.
Again, these books made death impactful.
Yeah.
They because they're so self-contained and they're their own story. That the characters will die and it'll impact everything.
At this point, the Green Lantern Corps is still trying to eradicate the universe of Manhunters. They eventually get to a point where they think they can.
They're back on Oa. And they're fully.
Hal Jordan gets his ass kicked by the Yellow Lantern on Larian first.
We were skipping the whole thing. The Larians take the humans as hostage.
Right, yeah.
They go back to their homeworld. Hal goes to Laria to be like, hey, man, I don't know what happened, dude. But this is something, like, I didn't say we should do that, whatever. Yeah, trying to talk him down. And because the Larians just took them prisoners, which honestly it makes sense. The way
later in the book realize it wasn't as
not even that. I'm just saying in general on surface level, I think it makes sense because I don't know. I feel like that would happen in real life.
Oh yeah.
Why wouldn't they take those humans hostage to immediately be like, whoa, motherfuckers, we'll kill these people? But anyway, because humans would definitely do that. Yes, we would. So, yeah, he goes to Laria, and there's a Yellow Lantern there, which we know exists because they got referenced in the first book because the Guardian said, this is my best creation. And he's like, hey, I'm the protector of this planet, fuck off. And Hal Jordan's like, why are you yellow then? And he's just like, I'm the protector, fuck. They have a little fight, but yeah, the Yellow Lantern his ring is much more powerful.
The Yellow Lantern wipes the floor with Jordan.
Yeah. So then Hal's like, fuck it, I'll go back to Oa and talk to Aricia, yeah, this is it. And I had the S in the wrong place.
So glad they
kept her as the leader of the Green Lanterns.
Changed her character from regular DC continuity.
Yeah.
Because she deserves
a badass in this book.
She deserves to be a badass. What happened to that other Yellow Lantern? I took him down. Okay.
Well, accept it. Oh, yeah.
All right.
So, yeah, she's leading the Green Lanterns, and they never say, but Sinestro's kind of like one of her top advisors. He seems to be in the room with her a lot.
It seems like it's it seems that if there's any sort of like hierarchy, the top four are like Jordan, Kilowog, Sinestro, and Aricia, and maybe Tomar Ray shows up in that area a little bit too. He's the fish-looking dude.
Yeah.
Which I loved how they made him one of the guys who defects when we get there.
Yeah. Well, and remember the fucking cockroach-looking one? They had a Green Lantern alien that looked like a bug.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this giant fly doing?
Sorry, Aricia. Get fucked, you cockroach.
Fuck you, I'm going to fly swatter right now.
We would not do well.
No, dude, you better believe I'd make a giant fly swatter with my ring and swat that motherfucker. You better believe it. So anyway, yeah. Hal comes back to Aricia and says, hey, can you help me with the Larians? There's, it kind of explains the whole situation. She's like, yeah, we can work something out.
We can try.
She's like,
no promises.
And then all of a sudden, this radar, they see on the radar all these manhunters. And it looks like they're all coming back to Oa to
the
recharge.
Rest of them.
Yeah. Whatever's left. And Sinestro's like, we need to fucking attack right now. And Aricia's
wipe them out.
He's right. We need to go. So she's like, we'll talk about the Laria thing after this. And Hal Jordan's like, okay, let's fucking do it.
Him and Kilowog actually have kind of a fight.
Oh, they hug. I forgot about that. They hug. When Kilowog meets Hal Jordan.
No, yeah.
It was cute.
At some point they have a fight, though.
It's cute. That's not what they fight about, though. This isn't what they fight about. Anyway. They go and fight the Manhunters, and they're like, wait, why is this so quiet? There's like nothing going on. And they fly, and then...
Hey, there were never mountains here. Oh, because they're not mountains. They're giant mounds of dead Manhunter robots.
Because all these other...
Because like 5 Yellow Lanterns wiped them all out.
Yeah.
Compared to like how many in the GL Corps? Yeah. So they're basically like, oh, shit. And then the Guardian shows up. We
saw in the first book how hard it was for all of the... And you could argue if they were fully powered or not, but you saw how much of a struggle it was in the first book to kill Manhunters, because Manhunters are like this unstoppable force in the first book, and then to see the main antagonists from the first book get fucking decimated by the Yellow Lanterns, you're like, oh, shit.
By like a couple of them.
And then, this is what I love about this book, is I can't, like, and I'm pretty sure I said this last week, but I don't like the Guardians on Oa. I don't like... that for whatever I just can't get, because, and I understand that it's by design, because no matter what story you're talking about, the Guardians are always the dicks, and it would make sense if they have all this power to make these unbelievable things that divide law and physics and science and put them on people, or put them on organisms, whatever you want to call aliens,
right?
And say, go around the universe and fucking be cops.
Well, don't forget.
Well, why wouldn't they get corrupted and be like, why wouldn't we make a stronger ring?
The Guardians don't show up for a while in original Green Lantern continuity.
Yeah.
They are actually, I don't know if they're created until like the late 60s even.
But anyway, so I never liked Guardians anyway. And so when we get that twist in the first book of, oh, that Guardian that talked to Hal, he is the last Guardian, but he created the Yellow Lanterns. So he's a villain. Mm-hmm. So you already know that coming in. But his entrance, surprisingly badass for a Guardian.
Yeah.
Because all these Yellow Lanterns are like floating over these corpses of manhunters, right?
Yes.
And then the Guardian comes in, and it's just, you see like a yellow bolt of lightning in the panel. I gotta look at this. I gotta pull this up because I mean, I know it's not video, I know it's audio, but it's hard to describe the look of it. But it's like this big yellow bolt of lightning crash lands onto Oa, and it's the last Guardian from the first book, and he's like, "These are my lanterns." Yeah, it's just the panel layout in this book. Some sequences have these layouts where these margins are defying the rest of the page.
Fantastic.
Because there's this, you look at one page, it's juxtaposed to this cool entrance by the Guardian where it's this bolt of lightning crash lands, does a superhero landing, and he says, "Welcome to Oa," or should I say, "Welcome home." And he's got all these fucking yellow lanterns floating around him. I'm pissed because really cool entrance, and I hate the Guardians. But you look at this, and it's got weird margins, and then right next to it, it's a well-structured, normal comic.
The Guardians
and it's what you said,
offer is very tempting, by the way.
It's what you said is pacing. Because you have this big moment, he lands, "Welcome to Oa, welcome home." He says, "Now I have a proper position for you." Sets up these stakes, and then boom, we're back to, oh yeah, there's hostages.
While we have the book open,
it ping-pongs between the two plots.
I do want to refer to one laugh out loud moment for me, which I thought was great. Where the fuck is it?
You should have. Keep going. I got a vamp.
What could those foot pedals possibly be for? Foot pedal? And it's a rest for the Laren's tail.
For his tail, yeah.
Which I laughed out loud at that. I was like,
So now we know the stakes. Last Guardians unmasked.
Like, you can't vamp for a little bit.
The Last Guardians unmasked himself, says, "Hey, I can give you this power," kind of thing. But So then we find out more about the hostage situation. Those guys they're trying to sort that out. And they've been talking about how a yellow lantern shows up in the transport ship that they're in, and one of the characters she's like purple hair, and I can't remember her name, but she's like, "Look, a Green Lantern," and he's like, "That's yellow." Like, wait, are you colorblind?
I just guessed on a lot of stuff.
And it ties back to the end where like she didn't need to. It was common. She knew,
right? Like
she was. It didn't matter that she couldn't see the color coding. She knew how to do it. She knew the logic of it
for the character.
Yeah.
But yeah. So he offers he offers the ring to Hal Jordan because at that moment I think aren't they?
Well, no, we haven't even gotten to that yet because that situation happens. Then we come back to Oa. We talk about in between that we go back to Ferris Aerospace and they see something on the map. We don't know what it is, and like we need to get Hal.
Yeah,
like
they see something on the footage of the Larian attack.
Yes, of the Larian attack. They have footage of it, and so they see something, but we don't know what it is. So then we go back to again pacing. It's just smart how this all works together. Because when I say it out loud, I was like, damn, this is a good, well constructed story. So we go back to Oa. Then the Guardian says, "Okay, here's my proposition for you. We can make the universe better with these yellow rings. They're stronger. They're more powerful. I've had more time to work on these. You've seen what we could do with a handful of us against manhunters. Because I've made rings for all of you, and you can join me right now." And he immediately goes to Hal. Hal's like, "No, I know. I met you before. I don't know. I don't trust you because you said to destroy the power core, and I didn't. That battery or whatever." So then they leave. Aricia says the same thing. She's like, "No, we're leaving." So all the lanterns go back to their little base.
They start leaving.
They start going back to their. Oh yeah, they go back to their homeworlds. if I remember correctly.
Well, no, they start leaving, but then
they go to the base first, and Sinestro land. Yeah, Sinestro's like, I'm fucking joining the Guardian, dude. You saw what they could do against Manhunters. Could you imagine what we could do with that power? Yeah. And then there's the whole Hal Jordan Sinestro thing starts to play out.
I think she says they lose 20% of the GL core.
Yeah.
Back to the Guardian. Now, as was suspected, it's not a great trade.
No.
Mm-mm.
Which, again, I like that they do a different setup, but it's still the same thing. Like how because fear isn't and willpower and fear don't necessarily power the rings in this continuity.
No. In fact, it's two big giant batteries.
But the people that usually wear them are good people. Like Oricia said no. Hal said no. Kilowog said no. We'll get into that. But, so that whole, I like that. And again, I like that it's old, or takes the continuity and still does it. And I was going to say this earlier in our spoiler-free section, but what I love about these books, and I think why you love them so much as well, is it embraces the mythos of Green Lantern. It embraces all of the history of it. And like you were saying, manages to make it digestible, manages to make it work in 2 books.
Right.
And what they were able to do with the fear and the willpower and cut that out, cut out the choosing of it, it's a much more compelling story because anybody could wield that fucking ring.
Right.
Which is such a cool aspect.
Yeah, there's never
and I love the idea that
the ring never chooses, it's handed to people.
And I love the idea that it's not will versus fear, it's just my power versus your power.
I think in the Green Lantern, like in regular DC continuity, if like Hal Jordan like gave his ring to somebody else, I don't know, can they use it? Or like is there?
Yeah, I mean
because it's his ring. Can they not use it if the ring didn't choose them or something?
Not in the main continuity.
I don't know.
No, the ring has to choose you.
Yeah. But
this one you can just wear whatever.
Right. In fact, I'm not even sure that Hal Jordan still has the original ring that he started with.
Yeah, and I also want to just say, if you come out and explicitly say it's Green Lantern Earth 1 to just appease everybody, because we know how fans are online. If you come out and explicitly say Earth 1 and you made this on like HBO Max, or no, just release it, wide release, people would enjoy it. These are movies. You should do whatever you're doing with Green Lantern, throw it out and make these. If you're not already doing that. Yeah. But so what I love about this is it isn't tied to fear, but the Last Guardian expects you to be obedient.
Right.
He forces you to be obedient with these.
That ties into a whole like subterfugal thing.
Because when they get back to the base, Sinestro has a good point where Sinestro's like saying, "Hey," or Hal's like, "Well, what if he wants to oppress you and make you like look at them? They all fell in line."
Him and Kilowog get into a fight.
Well, because he's saying there was no diversity in the lanterns. They were all they all looked the same. They all fell in line like they were in uniform. Like he's like, this wasn't like what we are. We are a team, but we're still a group of people. We're a group of different living.
Kilowog in this story, I'm not sure about regular DC continuity, but he comes from quite a fascist society.
And Hal Jordan says that, and he goes, "Watch your fucking tone, pal."
Because Kilowog's like, "Well, what's so bad about that?"
Because Kilowog wants to join Sinestro, and he says, "Why not? This is giving us more power. You saw what they could do. We could do more for the universe." Because Kilowog is still coming from an angle of like, I want to help people.
Right.
I want to help other planets. And then Hal's like, well, what's stopping him from? You don't understand because you're from a fascist regime, and he's like, "Fuck you," and he's like, whatever, man. And then Kilowog leaves.
At this point,
he never says he's joining the Lanterns. He just leaves.
At this point, and then at some point, the Yellow Lanterns start attacking the Green Lanterns' home planets. After they get the ring.
Before they do that, they destroy the power. They destroy the battery.
Yeah,
the Green Lantern power battery finally gets destroyed.
The power battery, yeah.
And Hal finds out because he is in the process of going back to Earth.
He almost dies, and guess who shows up?
He suffocates in Earth, but
guess who shows up?
We find out before that, before all of that, we find out that the hostages
There's more to the Yellow Lanterns than first we knew.
Right. So the hostages get broken out by the Yellow Lantern that's guarding Laria. He gives them the power core and the ring.
And literally says, I
don't want to do this anymore. I've killed too many people. I can't.
So they're on their way back to Earth.
And they're like, what do you mean? He goes, I come from a land. Oh my God, I got to pull this up because when this Yellow Lantern describes his backstory, it's such a fucking cool shot because it's a silhouette of his face that takes over the page, and then all the actions are happening in the silhouette that like is his head, and then you go to the next page and that style, that art, like look at that shit. Yeah. Unbelievable. So we learned about him being this group of Cordians, and they found him. He crash landed into the Earth, into their planet, and he helped them build. He built the device that we'll learn about more in a minute, and he helped create the Yellow Lanterns. And he said, in turn, he made us work for him and be obedient. It was us paying off a debt, pretty much. And they reference that later in the story. But he's like, I don't want to kill people anymore. So take this, do whatever you can. So they take it.
They were fine doing it back in their own home universe because they wanted to stop being oppressed. But then
they rose up and fought their oppressor, and then
now you got to come to this other universe and do the same shit. They're
guys,
like, that's not ours. We don't care.
That's the tale as old as time. It's oldest time.
Oldest time.
So yeah, we got that. That's all set up, and they find Hal in space because they go out into space. They all are able to be surrounded by the ring's energy, and they are flying in space trying to get back to Earth. Before Hal was slowly dying in space, he set a transmission with whatever power he had left in his ring. He's like, anybody can hear this transmission. I am Harold Jordan.
And guess who was kind of hanging out not that far away?
Oh, it's Jon Stewart and the others.
Duck anyway. No, it's the people in the ship.
Yeah,
it's the faster than life. No, because the hostages are with Hal Jordan in the little bubble, and then they find
the bridge.
Yeah, they find the faster than light ship
bridge that Hal Jordan was working on, and what they were working on in the first book.
So then they save him.
So they save him, and they put him in the ship, and they're like, "Well, what are we gonna do?" Because the power cord of your Green Lanterns are out, and they attacked all the Green Lanterns that are protecting their planets. So he's purging the universe of Green Lanterns. Which again, like when I'm reading the book and he destroys the battery, I'm like, oh fuck, because I was thinking, Hal's gonna die.
There's a point where after that, I can't remember, but before the final sequence of the book, there's a point where somebody says to Harold Jordan, they say he destroyed the green battery, and he goes, and right away I was like, no, he transported it to the other universe.
See, here's the thing. I had no idea what the Cordians were. I had not read any of that stuff. So I honestly thought he blew it up. But then I snowed it. But then when you say that and they brought up the interdimensional thing, I was like, oh, there was no debris. There was no explosion.
It's eventually revealed that, yes, he just transported it. And he brings the Yellow Lantern over because it works in both universes.
It's stronger in the other
physical properties in this universe are different enough for him to use
where the Cordians are.
Where
in that dimension, the Cordian dimension.
In the Cordian dimension, the yellow battery works a certain way according to the laws of that dimension, and then
it's stronger in our.
But
universe.
he needs to bring it over to our universe because the physical properties of our universe, our dimension, work differently on the battery, so that he basically has more power.
Yeah, that's why the Yellow Lanterns are so much stronger than the Green Lanterns.
Right. Yeah.
And so he finds out about this, and they're like, well, what are you going to do? And he's like, I'm going to go fucking kill him.
Yeah.
And they're like, Hal, you were fucking dying in space. You need to take a second. We have a yellow. And he's like, I don't want to use that yellow ring. Like, he's against using the ring. And Jon Stewart's like, what's the fucking point? Why don't we just use it?
Yeah.
That's another thing that I forgot to mention. Throughout before he gets rid of the core, the battery core, before any of that happens, the book really gets heavy-handed on like, well, he created the Green Lantern ring and we can still use those, so maybe he's not this oppressive guy. And then
they literally
destroys it.
Just keep
and then he kills all the Green Lanterns. Oh, by the way, when they're doing the montage of killing the Green Lanterns, it's fucking brutal.
It's pretty sad.
Like, there's no blood and guts, but like it's brutal in a sense.
When the shark thing is getting blown up and he's just screaming like, ring, shield, and he's just getting fucking blown apart.
Or they're every time they kill them, they're begging, like the Green Lanterns are begging for their life. They're like, please stop.
It's a shark thing. I don't know any shark things that talk, and yet I am sitting there going, I'm reading this and I'm like, that's fucking sad, man. Like,
and if this were a movie, it would be like a sad melodramatic score underneath.
Yeah, it's like Order 66 almost.
Or like Leia piano exit. Honestly, I wouldn't mind that if they
They get to the end. They get to the they finally everybody arrives on
so the plan
at
is,
some point.
The
Everybody arrives.
The plan is we're gonna go to this other dimension and get the battery core back and bring it back and fight. You know, like, so that's, and
there's a lot of plans at once, but some of them don't work.
They're trying to get the battery core at the same time. Hal is going to distract the Guardian.
They got to find the Guardian, and then they reveal that he's on the ship, and he says
he was using to go in other dimensions.
Right, and he says, Hal, we gotta, or they say
he sucks Hal into the dimensional ship.
First, they say, Hal, we're gonna have to drop the bomb on the ship, the core on the ship. Which sucks because then you can't go get the Green Lantern. He says, whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
Then he gets transported by the Guardian onto his ship. They have a big old fight outside.
You have the classic villain speech and the whole, like, I want you to join me.
Outside, the ship is in big trouble, and that's when the lady says, somebody's got to stay on the ship. I'll do it. It's not color-coded.
The colorblind girl does it, but she was also impaled. Like, she was dying.
Yeah. She couldn't put on the EVA
She was going to die anyway.
Yeah,
so she's like, I'll stay with the ship.
It's a pretty powerful moment because she's one of those ancillary characters that's like, wow, I really grew to care about this character. But then, so they need to ram the ship and blow it up, and they're like, we hope Hal's not over on it. All the Yellow Lanterns with Sinestro actually turn on. They stop being dicks.
By the way, that's another really cool twist. Yeah. Sinestro actually ends up having somewhat of a redemption arc.
Yeah.
But Arisia's like, this doesn't let you off the hook. You're still a fucking dick for leaving us.
Yeah.
But he turns back because eventually he's like, yeah, I didn't join this to be led by a dictator. So I wanted the power.
Right before the ship hits, the Guardian's ship disappears into the other dimension. Everybody just assumes that Hal's dead. Life goes on. There's Yellow Lanterns.
Again, you need to read it. We're brushing over. There's a lot of good stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have to brush over it. Otherwise, we'd be talking about it for 3 hours, which is fine. I could. But the end is the coolest because he didn't die.
Well, what I thought was really cool is, he's strapped with the cords in the parallel dimension. 3 years later. But
he's got the battery.
And there's a scene where you just see like this hutch. Like shack type area, which is similar to what you saw in the flashback from the Yellow Lantern that gave it to John Stewart. He says, Guardian, we need your help. And he's like, I'm on it. And it's just this stream of green light. And then it's Hal Jordan in the air saying, but please stop calling me Guardian.
Yeah.
So he's in that dimension. He didn't die, but he's trapped in that dimension. So I'm assuming Volume 3, if they make one.
That's what we want to talk about.
They're going to get him with John Stewart.
Like you said at the beginning of the podcast, of the episode, is there a need for a sequel? I say only if the story is worth it. And here would be my idea to bring back Hal Jordan from the other universe is you have to somehow use the Star Sapphire Carol Ferris story. Somehow make that a thing in this universe. But again, you have to give me a reason why I want to read more about Harold Jordan. Because honestly, I'm cool with that being the end.
I think it's a cool idea that he protects the Cordians.
I'm cool with that being the end. What do you think? And then
John Stewart, because before that, John Stewart's like, we should, because he still has
because there's no Green Lanterns in the other universe because the battery's in cord.
And John Stewart still has a yellow ring. So
they're like, all yellow.
I know. But my point is that John Stewart is going to carry his legacy, but as a Yellow Lantern.
Right. And Arisia, twist. There's a cool part where Arisia, I said she's a badass, and their green rings don't work anymore, obviously. But at one point, she shows up with a yellow ring, and somebody's like, hey, where'd you get that? With no weapons whatsoever. And she says, there's a Yellow Lantern tried to attack us, and I took him down. It's just like, holy shit.
I would, again, read it. Both of them. Green Lantern Earth 1, Volume 1, and Volume 2 are both really solid books. And
5 out of 5 stars.
I love them both, and I love them because you don't have to be a Green Lantern fan to like them. You don't have to know anything about the character or the lore. This is pretty self-contained, pretty easy to read. Dude, we talk about
if they had made the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie based off of Volume 1, oh my God, it would have been so much better. Because he kind of looks like him with the beard.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Also, another thing I wanted to point out, interesting design choice in these books. The logo is a hologram on their chest. It never is actually on their chest. It's always projected, which is an interesting choice. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think that the way...
I don't know.
At first, I don't know if
Still
I
fucking
really
singing everything.
liked the ending. But the more I sat with it, I kind of liked it more because he's still serving a purpose as being a hero. He saved the universe already, and so I could like him defending the Cordians. I kind of like it. I kind of like that.
If this husband and wife team have like an idea for like a trilogy, then by all means, please.
Because I feel like 3 would be getting Hal back,
right,
and getting the Green Lanterns back.
But if you don't, I'm cool with you guys leaving it the way it is. I really, really am. Mm-hmm. It's actually
a pretty satisfying story.
It's a perfect ending for him.
Yeah.
Because he does. And
honestly, I wouldn't be against Volume 3 being focused on Jon Stewart.
No,
I wouldn't be against that.
That wouldn't. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I would like it, but then would it be Yellow Lantern Volume 1? Maybe.
That's why.
There you go, DC. You stupid assholes. I just gave you a free idea.
Right.
Anyway, so that's it for Green Lantern Earth 1 Volume 2. Hope you should read it because we did gloss over some stuff because I don't want to. We don't want to give you everything. We don't want to give you everything. But anyway, that's all for that. Hope you read it. Some quick things to talk about.
Let's talk about that YouTube video that you put up about Masters of the Universe.
No, I've said what I need to say.
Okay. Just for your information.
Well, what I was pretty much saying is, okay, there's a lot of controversy. I'm sure you've seen it. We don't have to get into it. We're not going to beat a dead horse.
Because we have the video.
Well, it's been a week. And my whole thing is, I enjoyed the show. Mm-hmm. I thought the show was awesome. Now, I'm also someone that's never watched any of, in passing, sure, I watched.
People that are passionate fans of that cartoon need to have their fucking head examined. It was cool when I was a kid. I've tried to watch it since. It's crap.
It's
bad.
And what Kevin Smith and his team are trying to do with this, and I listened to watched the podcast, The Fat Man Beyond, where he's talking about this, and he said what they wanted, and the super fans, producers of this show, and people at Netflix were like, what we wanted was, we want you to give something that I couldn't have as a kid with these Masters of the Universe shows. There was never any stakes in those shows because they were kid shows. Nothing consequential.
It's a half-hour commercial for toys. Really.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And there was no consequence in them because it's a kid show. You can't really punch. You couldn't really do anything. So they're saying, we wanted you to create a story where it's in this universe, it's still tied to it, but also say, hey, there are consequences. There are stakes to this. The choices have consequences. Make it more impactful. Right. And so that's what the show tried to do. Now, were people lied to by this show? Because it's definitely more focused on Tila than Prince Adam?
Well, according to a lot of videos on YouTube, yes.
According to a lot of fucking losers who make the same... Seriously, I'm not going to get into it. I already made a 10-minute video about it. Here's what I'll say about it. They're fucking grifters, and I know this because every other video is bitching and moaning about some property having a woman in it, or some property making a character a different ethnicity, or sometimes
there's
both.
There's some controversy also because it seems that people who've watched the show have said like it's very clear that Tila is not like in love with Prince Adam, but rather her partner who is a woman, which would make her at least bisexual.
Some people think she's a little bitchy, and I do think there are times in the story where I was like, really, Tila, like chill the fuck out. But I also understand that like the context of the story, she's pissed because she finally finds out that Adam is He-Man, and she's like, You lied to me our whole lives. Like we were best friends, and you couldn't tell me that.
And that's kind of a betrayal.
Yeah, but she meets him again later in the story. After, spoilers alert, after he dies, which it happens in the first episode, and that's why a lot of people are pissed because they kill He-Man right away.
Oh no!
And I was like, that's a bold strategy. I thought it was a cool idea, and she meets him in heaven, Preternia, and then she's still bitchy to him. And I was like, wouldn't you be a little bit nicer to a friend that just died?
I don't know.
I feel like she was.
It kind of depends on the friend.
But also she didn't. But also it kind of makes sense because she didn't get to resolve that issue because he died. So she didn't get a chance to tell him, hey, what the fuck? Why didn't you tell me? Because he's dead. So I'm sure she wanted. And honestly, I can understand that if I were lied to my whole life and then someone dies and I find out, oh yeah, they were racist. What?
No, but anyway. Yeah, no, that's all.
That's the best way I could equate it to normal times and be like, because I don't know anybody that turns into this giant fucking superhero.
And we're talking about a high profile property.
Yeah,
that
like
has got a lot of people upset.
And here's why. Because of the Adam stuff, and Tila's more involved. And I think it's more SJW shit, and she has a lesbian-looking haircut.
But here's the best part. If conservatives knew anything about Gamma Flight, they'd be shitting their pants.
Yeah.
And the reason why I want to talk about...
right before we get there, last thought on this.
Yeah.
And Kevin Smith said it too. You really think Mattel would give him all this money not to fucking make a cool He-Man property? Because even he said, "Is like, dude, you haven't even watched the first season. It's
all bots anyway, man.
You watched you watched the first half. There's still 5 more episodes.
Douchebags.
And then he got forced into giving away a spoiler where he's like, yeah, Tila never wields the sword. Okay, it's a He-Man show. Watch the rest of the fucking show, you idiots. But anyway, I like Master Universe Revelation. And by the way, if you didn't like it because you just didn't like it, that's fine. I'm not mad about you.
Right. To tie in with that a little bit, to reinforce that point, we were talking about the other day, you and I were talking about the Ghostbusters 2016 movie that was all females. Now, we didn't like it because it just wasn't that good of a movie.
It just felt like a 2-hour SNL sketch.
It didn't matter to me that... I could care less if the characters were female or male. The problem with it is that so many assholes decided to not like it without seeing it because, and it's the same thing with Masters of the Universe. There's plenty of people... And
that's a problem because I think that can mess with people's perception.
And there's plenty of people who are writing comments about this fucking show that they have never seen, that they have no intention of seeing, but some dumb fucker on the internet said, oh, you should be pissed. And they're like, yeah, I am.
It's too woke.
Yeah. Well, Gamma Flight is pretty woke. Let me tell you about this. So you have... it's spring out of the pages of Immortal Hulk, and basically you have the Absorbing Man and Titania, who they're a couple. Absorbing Man could do different things and change his body at will to different properties, and Titania, refreshingly, I've talked about this before, is not drawn as your typical superhero babe. She's literally a woman with muscles and muscular. I mean, she's a fucking brick shit house, dude. And then you got Puck, who used to be a regular sized guy, but was cursed by a stone that he got when he was a soldier of fortune back in the day, and the curse made him into a dwarf and in constant pain. Then you have Walter Lankowski, you have Leonard Sampson, who's actually inhabiting the body of Walter Lankowski in Sasquatch form. Then. After all of that, it's revealed in the first issue that the doctor, Charlene, who has been helping them this whole time and in Immortal Hulk, is transgender. So here's what's refreshing about this book. A lot of transgenderism is not being happy in the body that you're in, right? Now, that's why a lot of transgender people will make that transition from woman to man or man to woman because they don't feel like they're in the right body. And this book revealing that is not a cop-out or a let's be woke. Yeah. It's actually really fucking necessary to the story, and it makes all the other things going on in the story with all those other characters so much more impactful. So much more. And I urge you to read it because not only is it a good book, but it's also they didn't just throw that transgender character in there to be like, wink SJWs, wink wink. They did it because it meant something to the story, and it actually reveals a lot about that character, and it's really cool. You totally look at this character differently, and you're supposed to. Anyway, I'm gonna get off my high horse. I felt like we should talk about those two things because they're both properties that Jake knew a lot more about Masters of the Universe and Gamma Flight vice versa, but they both kind of tie into each other in that everybody's pissed about Master of the Universe because it's a huge property.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a fuck about Gamma Flight, but if they knew about it, they'd be up in arms.
Oh, if there was a Gamma Flight Netflix show or Disney show, they'd be like,
"Oh,
fuck you, dude! Don't put that shit on Disney Plus."
Also, the Dr. Charlene in Gamma Flight isn't a longtime character, so that's also why these idiots aren't pissed because it's not like they made Titania transgender or Absorbing Man transgender. Which is a big difference, because if it's a character that I know and love, we got problems. Yeah. Fucking idiots.
Yeah. And it just kills me that these people tell me that they're like, yeah, we're fans of this shit. And it's like, no, you're not, because you're excluding so many people. Because you're saying something's woke, and it's like
comics are for fucking everybody, dude. I'm sorry.
Look, I said this in the YouTube video. I'll say it again. This is true. Companies absolutely do participate in virtue signaling and do empty gestures.
Right.
You saw it last month. Everybody had a yellow fucking flag.
Every comic book had a pride flag.
But didn't do anything to help LGBTQ. And if they did, great. But a lot of them don't. They just think that they could change their profile picture and it's fine.
Also, most of the people that bought those books with the pride stuff that maybe got charity, that maybe got some proceeds sent to a gay and lesbian foundation or charity, probably went straight from the comic book store to Chick-fil-A.
Would you get off of Chick-fil-A, dude?
Kind of just canceled out both of them.
What if they want to fucking sponsor the show? Chick-fil-A sponsors up. No, yeah, I would never.
Actually, you know what? They would show me any dollar amount and I'd be like, yup, sell out, bitch. Wait, where's the soundboard? Where's the soundboard? Is it on?
No, I don't.
$1 million.
No, it's not hooked up. Because
we can do it ourselves. You can do it.
$1 million, bitch.
Yeah.
That's what he wants.
You know, if they called us and were like, "Hey, we'll give you $1 million to sponsor your show," both of us would be like,
"Sure."
Yeah.
Cha-ching.
Yeah. It would be like in the cartoons. Ding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'd sell out.
Yeah. We totally sell. We would sell out.
No, I wouldn't. I would not accept Chick-fil-A's money. I'm even telling you that I have to be secret. I gotta pray to God.
$500,000 just for them to put ads during our commercial.
Tyler, do you understand what you're saying?
I know exactly what
Tyler
I'm saying.
Allen,
fucking poor.
I'm on the air and I'm saying if you got the right dollar amount, I'll sell myself. You're a grifter, dude. You're a fucking grifter. I knew it.
Yep.
Anyway, Tyler.
Okay,
Tyler. Let's wrap the show up.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do this. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
For Tyler. So stupid. All right. Anyway, what do you want to talk about this week?
I want to talk about Saga because I am kind of known, and rightly so, as kind of a Marvel, horror.
Marvel.
I just bend over. From anything Marvel's got.
Tyler,
bend over and take it.
Tyler, if I'm being honest, right now Marvel is doing more for me than DC. I'm telling you right now. There's some DC properties I like, but Marvel has definitely gotten my attention more.
DC has gotten more away from like a single continuity into all sorts of self-contained stories, which is fine.
I think
they're
DC
great.
is better at self-contained stories.
That's fine,
personally.
But I like what they're doing with the X-Men and Avengers and da-da-da. But one of my favorite books that I read about a long time ago, and then I finally bought the first volume at a comic book store of Saga. And they were really smart about it because they gave you the first 12 issues for $9.95, right?
Well, that's what what Image does in general. The first trade is always $10,
right? But then each subsequent one was 8 books, 8 comics in a volume for $15.
Yeah.
So it's okay, look, if you read Saga, you would immediately go and buy 2, 3, 4, 5. You would just be like, I need to see how this story ends. Now, this is by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples, and they have an exact storyline in mind from front to back. But they also had a planned hiatus in the middle of about 3 years. So they made 9 volumes, 3 larger volumes. They took a hiatus. And now they're coming back and they're creating the second half of the story.
Okay.
What I read about it that really wanted me to check it out was that this critic basically said Star Wars wishes it could be like this. And truth to be told, man, this book marries sci-fi, fantasy, action, war, romance. I mean, it is almost the perfect story because it immediately drops you into this world, and without too much exposition, you already know. You can already like, okay, I get it. And it's just one of the most fantastic stories I've ever read. It is an Image Comics book, which is still, pretty up there in terms of like non-independence. But I urge everybody, go out and buy the 9 or the 3 or whatever. Catch up on it now because within the next year, we're going to get our issue 55 or 54 or 55. So,
all right, Tyler, I want to do something next week.
Okay.
Because you have pretty much all the you have all the trades right now, or like that's are you caught up with the trades?
Yeah. There's a huge cliffhanger
I'm not,
at the end.
So I want to do something different next week.
Okay.
And to do that is going to require you rereading the first trade of Saga.
That's fine.
But there's another book that I don't know if have you read the book Sex Criminals?
No.
Sex Criminals, because you made me think about this.
Okay.
About a series that I fucking love that I don't talk about enough. Because I know you've mentioned it a few times to me, but I don't think you've talked about Saga as much, and I would love to talk about them. So what I want to do the first ever edition of the comic book exchange between you and me. I don't know. We'll come up with a better title.
Actually, I like that idea.
So I want to reread the first volume of Sex Criminals. I want you to read the first volume of Saga, and then we trade.
Yeah.
Because I've never read Saga, you've never read Sex Criminals, and then we come back and we talk about what we thought. Because I'm interested to see if you like it as much as I do.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do that.
It's written by
that can be that can be like the Masters of the Universe Gamma Flight segment. Yeah. That can
Did you is it Brian K. Vaughan that does Saga?
Yeah. And Fiona Staples.
Have you read Y the Last Man?
No, but they're making that into
he finished
HBO
it.
Max, or he finished it.
It's 12 volumes.
I've heard of it.
It's really good.
Right.
We'll talk about that someday.
Someday.
I'll have my buddy Adam on the show because he's the one who introduced me to that series.
I've known about it for a while, but
I want to see what you think of Sex Criminals because Fraction is a fucking great writer, and someday we'll touch on his Hawkeye run because it's so good, and I love the fact that they're like, hey, Matt Fraction wrote a badass Hawkeye story. Let's make that the Disney Plus show because it's definitely.
I actually finally picked up the first volume of that. It's David Aya. I think is the artist.
Fraction, the first volume.
Fraction is the writer. And
so good.
It's
so good.
Really fucking good. They delve into like Hawkeye's hearing deficiency. There's a dog involved. Yeah. It's fucking cool. There's a scene in particular where they have to censor his junk.
We're getting off panel, off topic. That's the name of the show.
Take it down. Yeah, we'll talk about it again.
We'll talk about that
some
later.
Other time. Yes.
But yes, next week we're doing the first ever exchange.
It's so good, man.
I will read the first edition of Saga. Tyler will reread the first edition of Sex Criminals. Because also, maybe someday we'll read Y the Last Man. Someday. Somehow. We're going to end this podcast right now.
Yeah.
Do we have a sign-off?
What did we do last week? Did we just...
Thanks for stopping by, San Diego.
Thanks for tipping bit. Let's...
Go fuck yourself, San Diego. I love that movie.
Great bearded. Didn't we do something from the?
Come out with your poop mouth. Oh, it's from the soundboard, but I don't have. No, that was for Tinfoil. That other show.
Oh, by the way, we do have to let you know that the real reason why Tinfoil Radio is no longer a thing is that we accidentally signed the rights over to the show over to Cooper, who is a dog.
So
and when
he gets all the merch sales and
when we talk to him, imagine that, by the way, trying to talk to a dog. We're like, you need to put your paw print on that. He's like,
I feel like we should have ended. So we should have ended on the Chad Kroger.
Well, that's why Cooper won't give it back. He's like, you guys.
No, I'm saying we should end this show.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I don't give a fuck about that show.
Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler.